Good morning, everyone, and welcome. My name is Christine Hall, and I'm the founder of the MAWB, the Mississauga and Area Women in Business. And today we have the absolute pleasure of having Mirella on with us today to talk about customer care and follow-up and the strategies and the techniques that she's used over the years throughout her career. Just a little bit of information about Mirella, and then I'm going to let her share more. Mirella has recently, I think the last 18 months, teamed up with her husband in his real estate business. So combined, I think they have about 2 decades of experience behind them. Prior to joining her husband in real estate, Mirella was, I believe, an area manager director with Arbonne. So she has lots of experience in the direct sales industry. And really, I would say, follow-up is necessary in any business, but that business especially. So prior to her time in the direct sales industry, Mirella spent many years in the corporate industry as well. And so maybe, Mirella, you can take over from here and share a little bit more about your background with us, and then we can get into the presentation on customer care and follow-up. As we titled it, we gave it the title, The Fortune is in the Follow-Up.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Christine, and thank you to everyone who's joined us today, and for those that are obviously going to catch the replay as well. I'd like this to be more of an interactive as well. I was thinking of doing a slideshow, but then I thought, you know what, I'd love to see your, beautiful faces, and to see, if you've got any questions, like just pop in at any time. I do have notes, so I am to be referring to them because I really want to get everything that I've kind of written down, because I find it very important. And so, like Christine said, I do have a corporate background. I was an HR manager for 17 years, and when you're in corporate, you're very linear. Right? You just kind of hang out with the people that are within your corporate work, and perhaps maybe even industry. And I was in law. So the only people that I hung out with were people that were HR managers at other law firms. I left in 2015, and then all of a sudden it was like freedom smacked me in the face. And I was like, ta-da! I met all these wonderful people that had professions that I didn't even know existed, which is absolutely amazing. But it is, you become a networker, and then you're thinking, okay, I'm meeting all these people, but what do I do with that? How do I cultivate those relationships? I'm all about relationships and also giving back. So we've heard the adage so many times, the fortune is in the follow-up. And do you struggle with networking or perhaps following up? As a whole, do you struggle? Let me see some heads. No, yes, you struggle. Okay, some of you anyways. So I always find that most entrepreneurs lack a follow-up strategy, right? So a follow-up strategy is definitely needed when we need to nurture these relationships. And if you don't have a follow-up strategy in place, you basically have the potential of leaving money on the table. And most of all, a relationship that's basically unnourished. So what is a follow-up strategy? And without a clear and defined strategy for your following up with the leads or relationships, you are not networking properly. That's my own opinion. And we're all about relationship building, especially in the MAWB, for example. And there's so many strategies that are out there after your initial meeting. And I'll discuss one of my favorites in a bit. So strategies that I'm going to explain suggest the relationship building, not the hard sell, okay? So remember that. It's not the hard sell, it's the key to growing your client list, okay? And without follow-up, networking and other, marketing initiatives have little or no value. Like, think about that. If I'm gonna meet somebody, and if I'm not gonna follow up with them, the marketing that I'm going to do, whether it's social media or flyers or live videos or whatever it is, they have little or no value. So on its own, networking is a time away from the office or away from your home office right now to meet people, right? But it's your follow-up that basically changes it from, that networking event that you go to, or now that Zoom call that you're going to be part of, into an effective relationship building and business growth activity. Okay. So if business growth is the likely result of the follow-up, why the hesitation? why are we kind of afraid of following up? So it boils down to actually putting it into a routine. So from there, practicing and planning, right, your follow-up will ease along the process. So you got to implement strategies to help you get started so that you can improve your follow-up activities and keep your connections alive. That's what's important. Okay. So your goal is basically to nurture the relationship in various ways. Obviously to build rapport, to, that credibility. And like we've heard so many times, right? That know, like, and trust factor. So what are some of the ideas that you think right now that you can do in terms of follow-up? Anyone? Sure, Nair.
Let me unmute myself.
Yes.
Good morning, everyone. I actually do something that you do as well, but I don't do it as well as you do. I've connected with all my prior clients that I had and the clients that I were all scheduled for this year that I could not be there. And I actually do have cards, and I just say, how are you? How are things going? Hope everything's well. Just to connect. And the response that I've had, I sent about, from the previous one, I sent a total of about 25 cards so far. And I could say about 20 responses I had back, right? I don't know whether the other people are not in the same address, or probably yes, but people are busy and we all going through a lot of things right now. But that's one of mine. And the other one has been building up on getting onto social media with Zoom calls and doing virtual coffees.
Okay, absolutely.
That to me has been, like, I like the one-on-one and seeing someone else's face on the screen as well.
Absolutely.
And if you can't, it's the phone call. But I do like the sending out the cards and doing that.
Yeah.
I think it's a personal touch that we don't get anymore. Very seldom. Let's say, I shouldn't say we don't get it, but I think it's seldom do you get something in the mail that says, "How are you? Thank you." So that's what I do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sending a thank you card or a special note via email. I'm personally a thank you card. So some of you on this call, I've actually had Zoom calls with, and I've sent you a personal card immediately after. So to me, that is a follow-up that I do. Even just sending a motivational quote or a private message. I know one time at the MAWB meeting, we had to connect with at least 5 people that we haven't connected in a while. And hopefully we all did that, because to me, that's follow-up as well. Even just something to say, hey, I'm thinking about you. How are things going with everything that's going on right now? With everything that's going on right now, connections are so important. I really wanted to follow up with you just to see if everything is okay. If there is anything that you need, please let me know. How about, hey, you just popped in my mind. Speaking of you, how was your Canada Day? How was your weekend? The other person really, trust me, really, really loves this. One of the things that I've actually been doing as well is video messages through Facebook. 20 seconds, so easy to do. Okay, so as you can see, there's just a variety of ways that you can nurture that relationship when building that rapport. And keep in mind, on average, right, we've heard this so many times, that it takes about 7 to 12 interactions with you before anyone is ready to buy. So, which is why following up is so vital to your success in your business. So systems, okay? So part of staying on top of mind is by using those customer relationship management. So CRM. So I really don't know how developed your business is, or but having a CRM, some of them cost money. Some of them are more expensive than others. You can have a task management system, or just your Google Calendar. right? Or just a paper calendar will do, a spreadsheet on Excel, like something so elaborate as a CRM to as simple as an Excel spreadsheet. So this is one of the things that I do. Christine, did you want to say something?
Well, I was going to say that sometimes I think we stop ourselves from taking action because we think, oh, I don't have a CRM. I don't have the money to buy one. As soon as I have the money to buy one and pay that monthly fee, I'm going to start using it. But really, it starts before that. Like Mirella said, it starts with the mindset, with scheduling it. So when I was in direct sales, my Fridays were my follow-up day, and it didn't matter whoever was on my past client list, potential list, I followed up with them. So it can be, and I was doing paper. Everything was in file folders, and I would pull out the folders and go through the A's and go through the B's. So I don't think we should let the lack of these fancy electronic systems stop us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So even with myself, so for example, I won here, I'll even show you. So I'm a Google girl. I've tried like Google Calendar. Okay. I've tried paper calendars. I love the whole fancy of, the beginning of the year and getting a paper calendar, but I like time and time again, I don't use them. So I actually won this calendar and I thought, you know what, it's actually beautiful. What am I going to do with it? What I started to do with it was I actually started to write all my Zoom calls. And I really started to use it like come March. So all my Zoom calls that I've had with people and all the ones that I actually still have to connect with. Okay. So then I would go back from my Google Calendar and I would write them in there and I would check mark if I sent them a card every single time. What I did recently was I sent another video to people asking for their email addresses so I can include them on my newsletter. It was just a simple, hey Deb, how are you? You know what? I was thinking Wednesday just so happens to be Canada Day. And I send out a newsletter every single month. And I'm really wondering and hoping that I could have your email address so that I can send you a copy as well. Boom. That's all it was. Out of those 100 people, some people haven't given them to me. And you know what? That's okay. I totally respect that. Perhaps maybe, and some of them are still trickling in, even though it's past July, like it's July 2nd. But I was able to then, on Excel spreadsheet, right? The same one that I used for my winners circle contest that I had. And I just put their addresses and then their email addresses. So I do have a CRM. I'm kind of old school in terms of that, just that using that Excel spreadsheet. Okay, so also schedule and respect your follow-up. Okay, so when you schedule a one-to-one meeting or networking event, immediately book your follow-up time. Okay, so moving forward, schedule your follow-up time the same way you book your other tasks and meetings. We're all talking about time blocking. This is a great thing to add to your time blocking. So treat follow-up with the same respect as the other business growth activities that you have. So scheduling and dedicating just, one additional hour a week to reconnect can help you build the kinds of relationships that will actually grow your business as well. Right? So you don't have to say it's an hour a day, 15 minutes. How long does it actually take to do those 20-second videos or sending out a card to 3 people a day or 5 people? And again, the cards can be like literally from the dollar store or, from Paprius. Like it's really up to you. I get the ones from Amazon or Indigo that have like 48 in a package. Okay. So use your time to also private message, call people, schedule it in. And so planning and consistencies are keys to enjoying great results. And when you start doing this, you'll see that you become into the habit of doing it. And it's almost like the law of attraction is just attracting more clients to you. Okay. So you also have to define the purpose of the follow-up. So knowing that there's a purpose of your follow-up is also critical. Okay. So not knowing the purpose of your follow-up will stop you as well, because you haven't given a reason. So very seldom is the purpose of the follow-up, in my opinion, to make the sale. Okay. So let me repeat. Very seldom is the purpose of the follow-up to make the sale. So very seldom. So remember that we're here to build that relationship. And the purpose of the follow-up is always to qualify the contact. So for example, I just finished 100 Zoom calls, right? I'm probably on 110 now because I did them 2 weeks ago. Let's face it, out of those 100, there are people, there's some people that perhaps I didn't really have that connection to, that click. Like, it happens to everybody, right? So it also, perhaps maybe I'm still going to follow up with them. I still sent them a card or what have you, but I have to define the purpose of, am I actually going to follow up with them, on an ongoing basis? Okay. So when you are following up with them, you need to also know a little bit about the person as well. So understand their needs and assess if there is a way that you can also help them. So before making the contact, consider what you want to come out of the meeting. And so I'm talking about, like, let's say the Zoom call and then beyond. Okay. So what is your desired result and what will your next step be? Okay. And for me, especially, you want to be genuine. You don't want to be like, how many times do we get those messages on Facebook now or Instagram about, people just sending you that spam. I call it spam. Like, hey, I've got 20% off this. Da, 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 da. I had this one girl ask me if I can put something on my wall to sell for her. Never spoke to her in my life. She didn't even say, hi, Mirella, how are you? How's everything going? Like, nothing. Am I really going to do that? No, that's not the way we do it. So you really want to be genuine. Christine, there's a few questions I think in the chat box. I don't know if you want to answer them at the end or as we go. But you're muted.
If we answer them now, will it throw off your rhythm? Or
not at all. Not at all.
So the very first question from Shelley at the beginning was, how do you follow up with everything and everyone? My issue is how to decide which and what requires my attention. And then she said, by the way, beautiful artwork.
Yeah, there we go. So you know what? Personally, so for me, I sent out, so with my 100 Zooms, I sent out a card to every single person who gave me their address. And pretty much everybody did give me their address. So that's something that I did. I was genuine. I really wanted to be connected with them. After that, it's really up to, so now, for example, I'm on the next stage. So I'm on the second follow-up stage of those 100 Zooms, or let's say the Zooms that I had like in April and May. Because right now, come July, at the end of July, I want to follow up with them again. I have an Excel spreadsheet. Deciding on who it is, well, you know what? I'm really going to decide and pick and choose who I really feel like I want to build a genuine relationship with. Who am I actually going to be able to help myself? And then in return, do they happen to know somebody who then would be able to help me? But for me right now, it's helping them, because I know eventually it'll come back. Okay. I hope that answers your question, Shelley.
So you're speaking from this, I think, from the viewpoint of a service-based industry.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to product, I think there's a little bit of a different thought process that goes behind follow-up. With regard to Shelley's question, how do I figure out who to follow up with? So for example, if you have a product like Enjo, who else here's product base? Amber's got a product. Deborah has a product. These product-based businesses, when I was in direct sales myself, I was in the industry for 7 years, I used follow-up program by Belinda Ellsworth called 2, 2, and 2. I don't know if you've heard of it, but I loved it and I slightly adapted it. And Mirella, you may have used it when you were with Argon.
Yeah.
So when it comes to follow-up, it might be a little bit different for product-based companies or providers, because, you know, if you're selling shampoo, you want to make sure you follow up every 30 days because that might be when their shampoo runs out. So you want to catch that order, right?
Yeah,
Where
absolutely.
Amber's follow-up might follow 2, 2, and 2 again, where they attended her workshop. 2 days later, she sent the thank you. 2 weeks later, she sends a, how are you loving your sign? What do your friends think of it? 2 months later, hey, I'm running another workshop and it's Easter or it's Halloween. Do you want to come? Right? So, sorry.
Yeah.
I just
So
thought I'd add that in because it's important for people to know that when it's a product based, I think you should be following up with every person or anyone who buys your product. I think you should be following up with every one of them with at minimum a thank you.
And it also Shelley, it also comes down to mindset as well. And having that courage to step out of your comfort zone and just ask, you know, hey, it seemed like you were interested in my paintings. Is there anyone that really grabbed your, you know, attention? It's just the questions and having the courage to basically ask and be intentional. Especially when you're product based, be intentional. But first, like I said, first you kind of have to build that rapport as well. Okay. Was there another question?
So sorry, let me scroll down here. I don't like that kind of contact unless it's genuine. That was from Shelley, and it was in response to your comment. So I'm not sure which comment that was. So Margaret says, in direct sales, the company often provides, I have to trust their program. I agree with that.
Totally agree, 100%.
Tovi said, I really appreciate you saying that, Mirella, about you not necessarily connecting with everyone, so don't force it. That was the comment, I think, where you said you had these 100 Zoom calls and some of them didn't click. The personality didn't jive. Jyoti says, how did you get to the point of asking for an address to send the card? I want to know the words you used as well.
You know what? It was quick. It was, again, a Facebook video that I sent out, and it was like, hi Nair, I absolutely loved our Zoom call that we had. I want to thank you for the Zoom call and the time that you took out of your day. I'd like to send you a thank you card. Can I please have your address? Guys, do not complicate it. That's the exact same thing as I did with the address, with the email addresses. I have everybody's email address because I subscribe to Calendly, right? So when they use Calendly, they have to actually give me their email address. But I wanted that other point so they actually see my face again, that I'm able to say, hey, you know what? I actually would like permission, you know, to send you my newsletter. Can I have your email address?
Well, that's a really good point, Mirella, because even though you have their email address from when they signed up for your appointment together, you didn't actually have explicit permission to send them or add them to your newsletter.
Yeah.
As far as castle laws, you do definitely need to ask permission for that.
Exactly. So the best way for me was to, like, you know, again, just send them a video. And whenever you do send a video, I'll be honest with you, every single person pretty much responded back to me.
Can I ask a question with regard to that video? Was it pre-recorded and you just sent the same one?
It's live.
Okay.
Live.
Okay.
It's totally live.
If it was pre-recorded and it was like a great Zoom call, thanks so much. Maybe that's your one way of not chickening out. Like, oh, I can't send it today because my hair's not right or my makeup's not done, or, you know, I don't feel great in this shirt.
It's literally, you know, going onto Facebook Messenger, pressing that button, and you only have 20 minutes. So sometimes I'm like, okay, thank you so much. Bye. You know, like right at the end or what have you. Right. But it's just, like my jits was there. I wanted either your address, your email address to schedule a Zoom call, you know, what have you and stuff. Right. So another thing is that you're there to help. Right? So many business owners are just not comfortable with the idea of selling. right? Rather than focusing on, again, closing the deal, think about how might you be able to help the client or the person that you're having that Zoom call with right now, right? And I'm talking Zoom because we're all at home and not really networking, in person. So what are their needs and what skills or products can you actually provide them? Okay, so when you have this mindset, it will be easier to communicate what you have to offer, right? And the conversation will feel, again, more authentic and less than a sales pitch. So when you have a Zoom call, I'm really, really hoping that half hour is geared towards the other person and a half hour is geared towards you. Okay, now it doesn't have to actually be, okay, let me go first. I'm gonna talk for a whole half hour or whatever, right? It could be like it's a conversation. But if you're in a Zoom call, and I've had this within my 100, and the one person all talks about themselves, I'm like, what's going on, right? Like that's, I love listening to you, but I haven't even had a chance to talk about myself, okay? And when you do, when you are listening to them, take the time to, refer them to someone who can help them if you are personally able to, right? They'll remember you for it. So growing your network and building your relationship obviously takes focused work. And that's why work is in the word networking. Okay. If making money and growing your businesses are important to you, you must also embrace the fact that fortune is in the follow-up. Okay. You must make it a priority. And by consistently sticking to it, to a follow-up plan, you will definitely build those relationships as well. And you'll bring new clients, and that's obviously how you're going to grow your business. So this is the strategy I use. And so how Christine had mentioned 2, 2, and 2, right? And then there's, and you can obviously make one that you feel comfortable yourself. But again, the whole being part of that consistent flow is extremely important. So I use a 24/7/30 system, okay, or 20, right, depending. So when you meet someone, let's say at a networking event, and right now, for example, we're all pretty much on Facebook, right, or Instagram. When someone, if someone's, Nair, for example, if someone actually watches your video or likes your video, you can see that. So that is your perfect time to reconnect with them. Okay. So that is your, let's say, your 24 hours, right? Connection. Let's say on Wednesday in the MAWB, it's Welcome Wednesday. And there's a whole bunch of people that are new to the MAWB, right? We all say, welcome ladies, welcome to the MAWB, great group of ladies. But let's even go beyond that and invite them to perhaps have that conversation through Facebook Messenger, and then eventually invite them to perhaps maybe a Zoom call. Okay, so that's just 24 hours within the MAWB Wednesday Welcome Ladies. Okay. Drop them a note, like a personal note within the 24 hours. So even if we were at a MAWB event, hi, Sally, it was great meeting you yesterday. I really enjoyed and then perhaps maybe something about their elevator pitch, right? Within 2 days, I always send them a personal video thanking them for the Zoom call. And then, like I said, I send them that handwritten note. Okay. And I do this consistently. I haven't, if someone has given me their address, I've always sent them their note. And just simply tell them it was a pleasure talking to you or meeting with you, and hoping that your paths will cross again. And if within that note or within your Facebook message, whatever it is, go back to something that you actually learned from that call. So you're actually making it really, really personable. Okay. Within 7 days, Connect with them on social media, just as an example, or make a connection on LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook, whichever social media platform. Find ways to connect and engage with them on the platforms that you use most. Okay, so do not do this in a way to sell to them. Do it in a way that, again, you're establishing a meaningful connection with them. So those people that we're welcoming on Wednesday, some of them we really don't know. And also, don't be afraid if someone, let's say, lives in Ottawa, right? Like, I've got a Zoom call with somebody that's living in Australia coming up. Am I going to say, oh, I'm not going to, we're on the other side of the country, or not the country, the world, right? What value can this person bring to me? She's all the way in Australia. Well, you know what? Who knows? There could be a lot of things that can definitely connect, right? Maybe I know somebody whose product is going to be launching in Australia. And I can ask, I can talk about my girlfriend and her product within our Zoom call. And I can ask her perhaps maybe for some help. Or maybe she knows somebody within Mississauga or the GTA that is actually looking to buy a house. Would I know that prior to my conversation? No, because I don't know her. All I know is her name, what she does, and that she lives in Australia. But again, I want to build that relationship because potentially I have the potential of perhaps maybe helping her. I have also the potential of perhaps maybe her helping somebody else within my inner circle. And perhaps maybe she might know somebody who can help me directly. So I'm not going to be afraid of connecting with somebody that is too far from where I live. Or there was a girlfriend of mine, she actually joined the MAWB, and she's so new. She's got a we're talking brand spanking new business, 3 months. She just started during COVID. And we went over yesterday, and so I talked, hey, how's the MAWB? Are you posting to, oh yeah, I posted this day, I posted that day. Yeah. Okay, that's great. So she goes, yeah, and then one person, she actually connected with me. And I said, oh, that's fantastic. This is absolutely amazing. Yeah. But she also said that she wanted to meet. And I'm like, okay. So this girl does not know anything about networking, right? And I said, you know what? Don't worry. It's not like she's going to ask you on a date or something. Like, it's just that genuine, hey, let's get to know you. This is what we do in networking. We have Zoom calls. If we were able to meet for a coffee, we would. Yeah, but she's this profession. What would she, and I'm like, are you like kidding me? Like, you got such a generic business that anyone can buy off of you. Right. And so I basically had to teach her to say that we're all connected one way or another. And I think that 6% now has down to 3%, because everyone kind of knows somebody. Right. So connection is absolutely huge. And then within 30 days, reach out to them again with a private message or perhaps a little sample. Add them to your newsletter. Who has a newsletter that they send out? Margaret? Amber? That's it? Okay. Lindsay, do you have one as well? Do you have a newsletter?
I missed the question because I went to...
do you, that's okay. Do you send out a newsletter?
I did religiously used to send out a newsletter, but since I came to Canada, no.
Okay. I highly suggest you send out a newsletter. A lot of people are like, oh, well, no one reads it. No one really opens it. But by you sending that newsletter, they see your name every single month. Or twice a month, what have you. Christine?
I think that many people don't do a newsletter because they don't know what to say. They don't know what to put in it. They don't understand the frequency. And I think whenever you're dealing with a client, a prospect, whatever, if you just come, if you're heart-centered and you come from the place of service, I want to help you, then it's much easier to think about what you want to share, communicate with them. Right?
Absolutely. So you want to add value.
Yes. And I think that's why people don't. They don't send one because they don't know what to say. They don't know what to put in it. I think you have, in my personal experience of sending newsletters for the last 10 years, I think when you add something personal and then add something of value, a teaching, I'm a big about the teaching stuff. And then at the end, you might have a sales thing there, because let's face it, you are salespeople. You have to sell to make money to keep your business going.
Absolutely.
So I think if you kind of think about it that way, what happy, thoughtful piece of about what's going on in the world today, or about me, I'm going to share, and then here's some great value on how to care for your product or whatever.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then
so
your little sales pitch.
Yeah. So you want to have that call to action. You want to have something that's personal. You want to have like a value, an article that's going to bring them value, what have you, right? So you want to be able to be top of mind. And by sending a newsletter, you are definitely top of mind. And there are VAs that are out there that actually do newsletters for specific clients as well. Okay. So you don't want to make it salesy, but you want to bring value, and you want to definitely have it, have a call to action. But the gist of it is that you're building that relationship, and it's that extra opportunity of follow-up that becomes into your strategy. Okay. And I was told once that, and this has actually happened to a girlfriend of mine, Facebook actually wiped out her account. So she lost all her pictures, all her friends, like everything. And so she had to basically start from scratch. So I was always taught that we're actually renting your Facebook friends on Facebook. Whereas when you have an email list, that's actually your own, because you've received the permission from the other person. Okay. So, sending out cards, doing those videos, an email, you popped in my head, a newsletter, right? Like we've already got 5, points of contacts of follow-up. Again, but it has to be consistent. So you have to actually diarize, right? So you've got your 24 hours, you've got your 7, and you've got your 30. And then it's almost like a rotation, right? Of what you're going to do. So whether you're going to do it in a spreadsheet, where you're going to put it in your calendar, what have you. Okay. So if you use that 24/7/30 or that 222 system to follow up with people you'll meet, you'll establish that powerful routine, right? That'll help make your networking efforts meaningful and successful, because that's exactly what we want, right? In the end, we want that person to, basically book that, trip that they've always wanted with us. We do want them to have that, Spanish getaway, cuisine cooked at our house eventually, right? So use technology, or if you're old school with the, paper planner, to help remind you and about the follow-up and the appropriate intervals of following up. And so after you send that first note and you set up your reminders on your phone or calendar to follow up at the 1 week, the 1 month, the 24 hours, what have you, your goal is to go from contact to connection, right? So that person that I actually met from the MAWB, that Welcome Wednesday, at first she's just a contact. But as I'm following up with her, eventually she will become that connection, right? So that contact to connection, from acquaintance to friendship. How many of us have actually become really good friends from the MAWB, right? We've developed a lot of relationships that we really didn't, at first we were just contacts. We didn't know anybody, right? Just like my girlfriend right now, she does not know anyone. So I'm kind of there, kind of like pushing her, get out of your comfort zone. Don't worry, she's not, this other lady that's asking you for a coffee date. She's not being intrusive. It's just something that we actually go ahead and do, right? So it's contact to connection, that acquaintance to friendship, that prospect to client, right? From customer then to advocate, because eventually you want them to buy, eventually you want them to say, oh my gosh, you've got to, go to this person. She's absolutely amazing at what she does. It's almost like, how many times do we say to somebody, oh, you've got to try this new restaurant that just opened up, or so-and-so's having a sale on, shoes, or so-and-so's having a sale on this, what have you, right? We want that to happen to us, right? So one-to-one, personally for me, interactions are key to your business. So by scheduling the time in your calendar to keep in touch with people is, that are really important to you is important, right? Don't have small talk for that whole hour. Okay. So this is actually between when you're having that Zoom call. Okay. Which leads to a conversation that basically goes to nowhere, right? Be different. Ask those questions that foster that engagement, that open door to a mutually, beneficial relationship. Find out about your contact, what they do, how they do it, who benefits from it, how they can benefit. Find out what they're passionate about, what they're struggling with. What are they looking for? Talk about their goals, what their objectives are, for their business. We don't ask that. So what are your goals? How's your, how has your 2020 been so far? How could I help you reach your goals? Oh, you know what? I'm looking for 4 clients, or I'm looking for that one client this month to make me reach my quota, or what have you, my own goal. Okay, really? Well, what type of person are you actually looking for? Who can that person be? How could I help you? Right? So when you learn how you can actually refer to someone in your contact, right? You're teaching them, you're basically teaching them how to refer business to the people that you know as well, right? And let them find things out about you too, right? Because it's sometimes like the conversation, obviously, like we want to know what interests you as well, right? There was one question that I actually got from a MAWB lady. It was a simple question, but she stopped me in my tracks. And she really made me think, and I still think about it almost every day. She asked me, so Mirella, within these last 3 months since COVID, have you picked up any hobbies? Anything that you actually really have always wanted to do, but you never really had a chance to? And I was like, oh, wow. No, I actually haven't. Right? So to me, that has really nothing to do with business, right? But something personal. And it really hit home because I thought, you know what, there are a few things that I actually do want to do and that I'm interested in, but I've never really gone out, to go ahead and do it. And I still haven't. But when I do, I will end up, mention it to her. And in that card that I sent her right after our Zoom call, I mentioned it because it really hit home, to me. And so when most people think about networking, they think about just meeting new people, going to some kind of event, some social event, but what they actually forget is the real value gained and the big payoff that network comes from deepening those relationships with people you already know, right? And these relationships will only come from spending time with them over time. Right? So always have your list of contacts at hand, right? Take 15 minutes every day to make calls or shoot off emails or text messages, whatever it is. Just touching base to see how you're doing. That's all. Just touching base to see how your summer's going so far. For me, I make this part of my day. And if you have business development responsibilities, you should do the same. That translates, then you build that confidence, you get more referrals. You then can obviously help them as well. So my whole thing is you have to work smarter, not harder, right? So by building that strategy, it isn't too tricky, but it is a mistake that a lot of people do, right? They never take the time basically to nurture relationships. Personally, I totally believe that fortune is indeed in the follow-up. And the quicker that you adopt a follow-up strategy as part of your sales strategy, the better off you'll be. Just like, Jim Rohn used to say, the fortune is in the follow-up. And that's all I have. So I'm hoping that you did get some tips that can actually, help you out in terms of follow-up. It's easy to say, oh, I'm going to follow up with them tomorrow, or I'm going to follow up with them, what have you. But trust me, if you're in a product-based business or if you're in a service-based business, you still need that strategy. You still need to block time for your follow-up, for sure. Any questions?
There is one question
Sure.
in the group since the first round. And the question is,
Okay.
what do you say to those people who say no to the newsletter? They get too many emails.
Move on.
Here, I'm going to give you a phrase that I used to use a lot. Bless and release. Bless and release. Because if they don't want to be in your newsletter, they're just going to weigh you down. Just focus on those who want to be.
So when I was in HR, one of the things that I was always taught was to spend all the money, all the training, all the effort, let's say, on your stars. Because those employees that are toxic, that are gossip, that are always looking at, watching the clock to see when their shift's going to end, they're not going to change. So if you already have a pond of people that you interact with, you always remember who's in your room, who is in your pond. You want to keep that nice and tight and understand who you're actually letting in, right? So if someone says no, okay. So for example, 100 Zooms, and let's say 75 people gave me their email addresses. I'm personally not, so that's for me. I will not go back and I probably will not go back and follow up with them to get their email address. The cards, I would follow up.
So may I add a suggestion just to what Margaret was saying? So if they do not want to receive a newsletter, did you ask, is there another method that you would like to receive ongoing, tips and tricks and communications and specials and promos from me?
Yeah.
It may be that they prefer text. It may be that they prefer just coming to your Facebook page. I think one thing we forget is we have to find out from our audience, from each individual, what is their preferred method
of communication. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But totally, if someone just specifically just responds and says no, then you know what? Okay. There was actually one person that said to me, you know what are we going to talk about over a Zoom call? I was like, So I actually we can talk about a lot of things. I talk about your business. I talk about how I can refer you. I can get to know you a bit more, likewise for myself, this and that. And she says, you know what? She goes, perhaps maybe we could just talk on Facebook Messenger. Okay. Okay. And have I spoken to her again? No. Right. But because right from then there, I really didn't feel that connection. But you've got to be able to, how Christine said, release. Any other questions?
Does anyone have any suggestions, anything that you're doing today with regard to follow up that is working for you, that you could share with others in the group? I know that Mirella has amazing success at her follow-up, and she's built numerous businesses with her follow-up. And one of the nice things is with her customer care and follow-up and relationship building, if she transitions to something else in 5 years, those people will still have that connection, that relationship, because it has been built on the human to human contact, opposed to just being built on, hey, I sell the shampoo, right? So it just is another example of why we want to go that one layer deep with people and really try to get to know them if we can. So anyone have anything you're doing right now that's working for you? I'd love to hear and have you share with others into the group. If you don't want to come off mute, you can certainly type it into the chat, and with your permission, I'll read those out.
Can I just say, it's Margaret here.
Hi, Margaret.
Hello. I just I'm terrible at my newsletter, so I have to, because I'm scared of they get so many, or I'm scared of privacy. I'm scared of doing it wrong, and it's there for me. It's direct sales, so they make it for me. All I have to do is add my little content and send it off. So it's so simple. But then I just realized I was talking to a customer who wanted a product, and that was on special a month ago or 2 months ago. And so that sort of slapped me across the face and said, no, you're not really causing a problem, because had she known that, she might have been able to, you would have helped her because you care about her. You would have helped her because she would have been able to get it at a discount. So
absolutely. And by having that newsletter, again, you were top of mind. You would have been top of mind, right? And she would have seen it, within the newsletter. Don't be afraid. Do not be afraid. Just have the courage to send out the newsletter, especially because you already have it made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's already made for us. It's just then again, it's the making sure that it doesn't go to their spam the first time, and the clicking on the I accept it. That whole piece is what kind of bogs me down as well. So I have to figure that part out.
Well, is there any way that, Margaret, you can send it to a small, like a group of 10 people, and they can test it out? You can get all the verbiage and wording down, and then exactly how to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could partner with someone and see what they send out. And then we send the emails to, I think they're off the office. I think they go to the head office, and then they add them for us. They vet them and add them for us. So, but then they have to click on it and say, yes, I accept it.
Yes.
Right. So there's a little bit of a process there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, when I was in direct sales, I always felt at the beginning, I felt like I'm bothering them. What am I going to say? But the reality is, when you're in direct sales, you are the store. And if they don't know how to contact you, if they don't know how to follow up with you with a problem, and their product just sits in the box because they don't use it, then you've not done your job. Right? Not you personally, but then we as the sellers have not.
I'm guilty of that at times. Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Who else?
And especially with direct sale, right? You can definitely follow up with them. Hey, just checking to see how, you're liking this product, right? Exactly. That's so easy in terms of follow up, right?
Great presentation, by the way.
Tish asked a question and wanted to know, does anyone use, is it slide dial, Trish? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, okay. Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yeah.
So somebody suggested to me, because I am a personal concierge, to use slide dial, because you're always wanting to check in with your clients to see if they need any services this week. So they suggest this app called slide dial, and it's like doing a mass voicemail. You do it on your phone, and you put a bunch of their phone numbers in, and then you send a message. It doesn't ring on their phone. It goes directly to their voicemail. So, but I haven't tried it, and I don't know if it's intrusive. Like, I'm kind of trying to figure out if it might be intrusive if I did that, or
I get messages like that from my financial guy, and I love it because I get the information I need when I need it. And I don't have to answer the phone and have this long conversation like, yeah, we're doing great. Kids are wonderful. Right? I personally love interacting with him that way. I don't know. How do others feel about that kind of communication?
Tish, are these like your clients, or are they
You can do either or. I haven't done it yet, but I was thinking that's one of the ways I was thinking of using it, was doing that Monday morning, hey, do you have anything that needs done this week? And then also doing a broad call to my contact list, my CRM list that says, hey, if you're thinking about, if you're feeling like you're overwhelmed or whatever the thing is, I'm here to help, type of thing, to get new clients. But I just didn't know. I guess it'd be like I've never heard of the Facebook video on Messenger. I think that's so fun. It would be kind of like that, right? Except you're directly following up with the person that you just talked to, right? Yeah.
If they're your contacts already, so you've got their telephone numbers already, absolutely.
Right.
If they're new, you have to be careful because of the do not call list.
I'm curious, how much is that service, if you don't mind me asking? Do you know?
I haven't downloaded it yet, but I think it's free. Unless you get, like, you know how they all do the free one, and then you can, and then you upgrade to a more advanced version or whatever, but I haven't used it yet. And I was just, because I was kind of teetering on if that's intrusive or not. I just didn't want to.
I don't think so.
I personally don't think so. As I said, that's been my experience. I would love, I'm going to check out that service as well. I think it's a great idea. And maybe what you want to do is maybe pilot it with 10 of your clients.
Right.
And you can even send them an email letting them know, I'm going to try out this new service. I'd like to get your feedback. I'm going to try it for 2 or 3 weeks. And if you know, those people who you really have a good relationship with, have good rapport with.
Right. Cool. That's a good idea. Yeah.
Anybody else have experience with that kind of system, either being on the receiving end or the sending end?
There's another one that I've heard of called Community. That's another one that you can send text messages through. I'm signed up to, like, I don't know if you guys have heard of Gary Vee, but he has his, like, own number, and I actually got an email the other day from him saying that it looks like they're rolling out the program, I guess, to more people. So I'm actually signed up for it to go onto the wait list in order to, and I like those messages, because personally for him, he's like kind of a motivational person. So I kind of love when I randomly get these text messages of him, you know what I mean? Like, kick the day's
Well, that's interesting.
Ass and stuff like that, because sometimes, you know, and for some reason, you know what I mean? So it's just like, and it's just like, but he also is like talks about the fact of like addresses stuff that's going on in the world. He'll send like reminders, because he does like tea with Gary Vee, so he'll send a reminder of that. So I signed up to get on the wait list for that. I'm really interested, because he has like a special number that he uses for that. That's obviously not his real number, but I love it.
Thanks for that feedback. It's interesting because regarding the phone call and leaving a message, I don't find that intrusive. Popping into my inbox or my text message, I find that, I don't know, to me that's a little bit more personal. I don't know, maybe that's just me.
See, but the thing, yeah, I see what you're saying, but the thing about it is you have to sign up for it, right? Like, if I didn't, it's not like he's just randomly choosing people like from his email list. You actually have to sign up through text message. It's like no different like if you were to sign up to get notifications, for example, from UPS or FedEx, or you have to give the information, right? So it's not him like randomly saying, hey, I'm just going to send you a message, you know what I mean? So I think for me personally, I would only use it for people that are more what I would consider hot leads, for example, right? That I have really built relationships with. And it might be just like, you know what I mean? I might notice something that they've maybe said on, you know, maybe in the MAWB group or whatever, and just want to send them like some type of inspirational message for the day, or, you know what I mean? Just stuff like that.
Awesome. Okay, so I have, there's no other questions in the chat box, and it is 11:01, and we do really like to respect time. I'm sure that if you have any other questions or thoughts or ideas, that Mirella would be very open to having a one-on-one discussion with you to help you out. As you can tell, she's extremely heart-centered, service-oriented, and always there to help a fellow mobster or
Mobster.
entrepreneur, it doesn't matter. she's all inclusive, Mirella. So I thought before we left, we could take a quick photo. Is that okay with everyone? So if you'd like to be in the photo, just puff up your hair, smack your lip, lick your, give your cheeks a pull, and we'll do a picture. I'll do 1, 2, 3, and then when I say smile, oh, look at Shelly, love it. Love that hair, girl. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and smile. Excellent. Thank you so much, Mirella. This has been so helpful and insightful, getting into your head and learning how you do things. So many wonderful tips and ideas. I hope that each of you was able to take at least just one of her golden nuggets today, and not just take that, but actually say, I am going to apply that. Because, knowledge is not... There's this saying, knowledge is power. Knowledge is power only when it's applied. That is my opinion. So I hope to see each of you take something and apply it very soon. She says that her first step is 24 hours. So I'd love to see or hear that you are going to take one of her actionable items and apply it to your own business in the next 24 hours. So thanks, everyone. And thanks, Mirella.
Thank you.
Thanks, Christine.
Thank you very much, everyone. Pleasure.